Just a few days before the Emilia Grand Prix, something unexpected shook the paddock. The FIA quietly introduced two new technical rules that would immediately go into effect. No prior announcement, no warning. McLaren, who had looked unstoppable just a race earlier, suddenly looked off pace. And Red Bull? Back on top, looking sharper than ever. Strange timing, right? Whether it was bad luck or something more, the tension behind the scenes was impossible to ignore. The whispers started right away. Was McLaren taking advantage of a loophole that just got closed? Or had Red Bull simply used this moment to fix their earlier problems without anyone noticing? With Barcelona coming up and even stricter checks expected, it became clear that this wasn't just about racing anymore. The contest had spilled off the track, straight into the rule books, and McLaren? They might have just been caught off guard. The updates came fast. Two technical rulings, barely publicized, but with immediate impact. Before the first engine even fired at Emilia, the competitive landscape had already shifted. The first new rule zeroed in on skid blocks, a crucial but often overlooked part of the car. For months, whispers had circulated that some teams were using materials designed to bend slightly or wear away during the race. Post-race inspections still showed legal thickness, but during the laps, these tweaks allowed for lower cars, better grip, and higher speeds. Now, the FIA wasn't having it. The new rule meant those parts could be inspected during the weekend, not just after. And any signs of softening or wear would mean trouble. It forced teams to rethink their setups on the spot. Suddenly, being clever with materials wasn't safe anymore. And just like that, one avenue of performance was shut. The second change was even more specific, and it sent a stronger message. From now on, any creative methods to cool the tires that didn't rely purely on airflow from the car's movement were no longer acceptable. That meant all those quiet rumors about vapor-based systems, phase-changing compounds, and sneaky heat-managing devices were now under a spotlight. Only the air rushing around the car at speed could help with cooling. No hidden tricks, no extra chemistry. While no team was directly accused, the timing raised eyebrows. McLaren had been praised, sometimes even questioned, for how well their rear tires held up, especially during long, punishing stints. Some called it unnatural. And just as those suspicions began to grow louder, the rule dropped. Red Bull had already been watching closely. They'd been using thermal cameras since earlier races, including Miami, hunting for anything out of place. And now, with the new restrictions in place, things changed quickly. McLaren wasted no time in denying any wrongdoing. They stood by their car, saying it followed every rule and that the recent updates didn't force them to change a thing. But when the lights went out at Emilia, the difference was obvious. They didn't just lose a bit of pace, they lost control of the race. Oscar Piastri, who had claimed pole position, dropped back almost immediately. Lando Norris, who usually stays near the front, struggled to stay in touch with Red Bull through the long runs. The stability they had in Miami was missing. The grip, the tire life, the calm over race distance. It had all faded. Meanwhile, Red Bull seemed to have flipped a switch. Max Verstappen's car looked sharp, planted through corners, and the rear tires, once a concern, held strong. It wasn't just a return to form, it was a message. Red Bull had made progress, and they weren't shy about it. After the race, Red Bull made sure everyone heard their side. Christian Horner mentioned that their team had been putting in serious work behind the scenes to fix balance issues. He made it sound like their return to pace wasn't because others got slower. It was because they figured things out. Helmut Marko didn't hold back either. He openly said the recent changes had an impact, but added that their own improvements also played a big part. The message was clear. While some teams may have stumbled due to the new rules, Red Bull had used the moment to move ahead. And McLaren? They looked stuck. Whether it was the result of those new limitations or something else, They couldn't keep up. The timing couldn't have been worse for them. In a sport where every tenth of a second matters, any slip can shift the entire season. And that's exactly what seemed to be happening. Inside the paddock, the talk wasn't so polite. Some engineers, off the record, admitted the new rules had shaken more than just McLaren. Multiple teams had been pushing limits, trying out unusual setups and borderline designs. But the FIA had drawn a new line in the sand, and that meant everyone had to adjust. What worked a week ago might now be illegal. And with Barcelona coming next, the pressure was only building. Insiders hinted that the next round of checks would focus on another sensitive area: flexible wings and adjustable aero components. These parts, when set up just right, can give major, straight-line advantages without hurting corner grip. For years they've lived in a gray space. Teams like Mercedes and Aston Martin have reportedly tested the limits, and even McLaren's latest front-wing ideas had started to catch attention in simulator data. Now they might be facing even more restrictions at a critical moment. Piastri's Sunday in Emilia highlighted the concern. Pole position on Saturday became defense into turn 1. After losing the lead, he never rediscovered the tempo that carried him forward a day earlier. Some pundits blamed tire pressures chosen for cooler asphalt. Others pointed to a ride height raised for stricter skid block tests. Whatever the cause, the smooth balance shown in Miami had vanished. Norris, normally the dependable points hunter, battled hard yet still watched Verstappen march away. Each missed apex felt heavier under the glare of fresh suspicion. Meanwhile, Red Bull looked transformed. Verstappen was in full control, not just fast, but comfortable. The car moved exactly how he wanted, especially through tight, low-speed corners where instability had previously cost them time. The rear tires, once known to fade under pressure, now held their shape lap after lap. It wasn't just about topping the podium. It felt like they'd regained their authority. Red Bull's upgrades at Emilia weren't flashy, but they hit the mark. Adjustments to the floor, fine-tuning of the diffuser, and changes to rear suspension helped them manage tire wear more effectively. And on a circuit that punishes understeer and poor rotation, those tweaks made all the difference. Verstappen had what he needed, and he used it. No drama, no mistakes, just clean execution. For McLaren, the problem had shifted. It wasn't only about fixing the car anymore. Now it was about restoring belief inside the team and proving they hadn't lost their footing. The pressure on McLaren isn't just technical, it's mental too. After building momentum through Saudi Arabia and Miami, the sudden setback at Emilia has sparked questions from the paddock and media alike. Every comment from drivers and team members is now under a microscope. With Barcelona's stricter rules on flexible wings looming, McLaren needs to prove their success wasn't just a lucky break or the result of exploiting gray areas. There's also internal tension bubbling. Lando Norris is closing in on Piastri in the standings, raising questions about team priorities. Who will get the backing when the championship fight heats up? The consistent finisher or the pole sitter struggling under pressure? Meanwhile, Red Bull watches calmly, having survived similar challenges before. For them, adapting to rule changes is part of the game. In Formula One, it's not just about what you can do today, but how you respond when the rules shift. Emilia showed us that clearly. With Barcelona ahead, the battle both on and off track is far from over.